What's up, guys? Kamikaze Fox coming to you from SRL, Sandro Racing League, Season 5, Round 15, European Grand Prix here at Azerbaijan, also known as Baku. Round 15 has been a very intense season so far, and I think we're waiting for maybe a couple other drivers, so let's run down our driver lineup. SRL Sam is going to be Sam Brandt. He's followed in the Haas with his teammate Reese March. Tim Ventic is in the factory Renault. He's your championship points leader. Sandro Dulius is in the factory Ferrari. Jan Holm will be in the Toro Rosso. Joey FY 200 is Jur Marusic. He is in the Red Bull Racing. And then Jensen Floyd, aka Jensen Randall, is in the Mercedes. And then Alexito Benet 86 is Alex Benerichetti. That is Season 2 champion. He's got 7 SRL wins to his credit. He's making his triumphant return in the Alfa Romeo here for Season 5. He's going to race the rest of the season, and hopefully he'll be here for next season as well. Dion Stahl's going to be in the factory Ferrari along with Sandro Dulius. Salim Haddad making his 3rd start for SRL. Cameron Weston Edwards back in the McLaren. Haven't seen him in quite some time. Azura 873 is Foons Van Houten. Colin Higgins is in the other factory Renault, and Brian Power in the Racing Point along with Robin Hoderstagen. Luke Mathiasen in the Williams, and I am Kamikaze Fox. And Foons is already on the live chat saying hopefully we can survive the castle section today. And we've got I Am Merciless joining on the live chat once again. And I have my trusty cat Robbie here who won't leave me alone as well. Coming off of last race, round 14 at Spa, Luke Mathiasen picked up his 4th pole position of the season and was able to walk away with a win. It was his 3rd win of the year. Tim Ventic came home 2nd. That was his 8th podium of the year and extended his points lead over championship contender Lewis Marshall, who got caught up in a wreck early on in the race. Sandro Dulius raced his way to his 3rd podium of the year, followed by his teammate in 4th was Dion Stahl, so it was a good run for Team Ferrari. Robin Hoderstagen had his best run of the year to 5th. Reese March was 6th. Nick Van Gelder was 7th. Jur Marusic was 8th. And then 9th all the way to 18th was all DNFs. It was Sam Lissenberg, Jensen Randall, Colin Higgins, Sam Brandt, Salim Haddad, Lewis Marshall, Brian Power, Jan Holm, Foons Van Houten, and Jacob Wagner, all with DNFs. And unfortunately for Brian Power and Jan Holm, they are leading the league in DNFs. Jan Holm has 9 to his credit, Brian Power 7 to his. And unfortunately, not a good record to have. And Baku is definitely a race of attrition. It hasn't been on the calendar, but only for a couple of years. Season 3 was won by Bart Catalda, and then last year was won by defending champion Nick Van Gelder. We'll see if Nick can do it again today. I didn't see him join the thing here. There he is. We were waiting on Nick. So defending race winner and defending F1 champion is going to be on the grid. 17 cars for today's race. We're going to do an 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race. And we certainly look forward to it to get underway here any minute. And while we're waiting, be sure to check out the next race, which is going to be the Mexican Grand Prix. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time. But next week, we are going to kick off another Project Cars 2, very small league. It's going to be 5 races. It's going to be the Intercontinental GT3 Endurance League, which is going to be GT3 cars based off of the Intercontinental GT Championship. So we're going to kick off the 1.2 hours of Bathurst next weekend. Obviously to mimic the 12 hours of Bathurst that kicked off their season back in January. Unfortunately, with everything in a standstill in the real world, we'll have to run the virtual world. So we'll kick that off next week. 1.2 hours of Bathurst. Going to be nothing but GT3 cars. We'll start early in the morning and race our way into midday as they do at the real track. And we're going to get ready to do the 18-minute short qualifying session here. Luke Mathiasen leading the league this year in pole positions. He has 4 to his credit. Nick Van Gelder's got 2 to his credit. Lewis Marshall has 3. Tim Ventic has 3. Luke Smith has 1. He's a part-time driver, but he has 1 that was back at Bahrain, probably the last time that he raced. So bright and shiny here for Baku for qualifying. Obviously going to be a low drag setup, I'm sure. NFL Addiction Germany says hype. You're hyped, I'm hyped. And no takers yet. Guy's going to be setting up some very low drag setups. A lot of long straights here. A lot of hard braking zones. Obviously very narrow track. The castle section always seems to call out a lot of people. Turn 13 seems to call out a lot of people. And turn 1 and turn 2. Actually, really, the first lap of this race is usually just calamity corner after calamity corner. So hopefully they'll be able to make it through the first race. And Sandra Julius coming over in the live chat saying that there is rain predicted towards the end of this race. So that could definitely be a factor as well. We've already got a yellow flag sector 1. Not sure who that was, but and a couple of guys going out on track. There we see Jan Holm getting out of the way of the two McLarens and Salam Haddad. Cameron Weston-Edwards, haven't seen him in a while. He had a great start to the season. We've talked about it a number of times. Unfortunately, things seem to have fallen apart for Team McLaren back at round 8 at China, where Cameron Weston-Edwards was disqualified from the race and subsequently got a race ban. His teammate, Rennie Vanderstappen at the time, unfortunately was banned for the rest of the season. And so Salam Haddad is in the other McLaren, and he is yet to finish a race, unfortunately. And, you know, I feel like I missed something here. This is supposed to be round 16. Round 16 at Baku. I've missed a whole week of notes, unfortunately. We actually raced our last race in Monza. Wow, I feel like I need to start this whole freaking live stream all over again. I gave everybody bad information for like 10 minutes. Minus that. Oh, how disappointing. I'm so disappointed in myself. Average of 18 on the live chat saying Forza Alexito. Cheering on Alex Benarachetti back from the brink in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see what he can do. The Season 2 F1 champion, 7-time Grand Prix race winner. Hasn't been around in a couple of years. See if he can get a handling on the handling characteristics of this game. Been a far cry from F1 2017, the last time I remember seeing him on track. So get some tire information. Looks like everybody's out on the soft tires as well. Stick with Benarachetti as he comes across the start-finish line. He's going to start his hot lap. So no time set yet. 3 minutes into this qualifying session. A lot of guys took a couple extra minutes to get their settings just right on the car. Oh, he brushed the wall there on the right side. It'll cost him a little bit of time. Obviously, it's a very long out lap around here. And the fastest lap has just been set. Reese March, 1:39.958. He has set the mark. He's the first driver to come across the line with the time. Salam Haddad is behind him with a 1:41.153. Cameron Weston-Edwards, 1:46.85. Jan Holm, 1:42. Colin Higgins with a 1:48.91. And Foons van Houten sets a new, by 0.03 of a second, a new time, 1:39.955. SRL Sam, 1:38.9, goes a second quicker than Foons van Houten. We're all anxiously awaiting to see what Alex Bedricchetti can do in his triumphant return to SRL. Nick Van Gelder goes second quickest with a 1:39.859, still 9/10 of a second off from Sam Brandt's time, so a great qualifying effort by Sam. Yellow flag, sector 1 and 2. Looks like we might have a McLaren or Renault up, but here comes Bedricchetti. And a 1:39.661, good enough for second. And Bedricchetti says, I'm back, boys. But still, Sam Brandt, the only driver to crack into the 1:38s. No time set by Robin Herderstagen, Jensen Randall, or Tim Ventic. Actually, the two big guns, Ventic and Luke Mathiasen, both of which have yet to set a time. We're going to watch Tim Ventic. He is on a hot lap as we speak. His DRS slot now open. And he's in the 1:41, so he's well off the pace. And looks like his time was validated. So he'll give it another go. When he runs a little wide coming out of that corner, you'll have to bear with me here for a hot second. We've lost Jurgen Marusic. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he is DNF from the qualifying session. So Jurgen Marusic, his time's going to be locked in at a 1:41.107. That's good enough for 11th, and that's probably going to drop. Tim Ventic's gone purple in sector 1. It's a personal best for him through the castle section. And I just want to make a quick correction here. I'm trying to go through some of my notes. Like I said, I missed a week's worth of notes here from Monza. So Monza was the last race. That was round 15. Was Monza. Luke Mathiasen picked up the pole position of Monza. That was his 5th pole of the season, not his 4th. So he's got 5 poles to his credit. Tim Ventic going to come across the line now. See if he can set a time. And a 1:37.318. Man, that is quick. Sam Brandt had a great time. He was the only driver in the 1:38s, but Tim Ventic just put a huge stamp on this qualifying session and said, come at me, boys. See what you got. We're going to pick up Luke Mathiasen. He's going to be probably the only guy that might have a shot at taking that top spot. He's going to come across now to start his hot lap. Again, he runs a little wide out of there. Nine minutes left to play in this session. Currently watching Luke Mathiasen. He leads the league in pole positions this year with 5. He's going to be looking to make it his 6th. Tim Ventic just set the time of 1:37.318 to put his stamp on this qualifying session. And unfortunately, it looks like Luke Mathiasen has validated his time, so he's going to have to come back around and give it another go. See who we got on a timed lap here. Colin Higgins on a timed lap. He's got 3 laps on those softs. He's probably going to be diving in at the end of this lap because he's probably not going to have enough fuel to go around again. We see, looks like Tim Ventic getting out of the way there. And Higgins runs very wide coming out of that corner. Oh, it looks like Ventic is running into an issue. Yeah, it looks like he's missing a lot of his wing, almost all of it. Higgins. He's going to dive into the pits. I didn't think he had enough fuel to go another lap, so we'll pick up Cameron Weston Edwards. His best time of 1:46.85. Oh, and you see there's his teammates on Haddad getting out of the way at the castle section. Oh, very tight corner there. Weston Edwards took it really quick. Looks like he's on a fairly good lap time. He's purple sector 2. It's his personal best. Edwards seems to be on a really fast lap here. Currently 11th quickest. We'll see how much he can improve his time by. You can see on the steering wheel 213 miles an hour. Going to come across the line 1:38.998. Almost 1.7 seconds quicker than his previous time. Jumps in from 11th to 4th quickest. And Jensen Floyd, aka Jensen Randall, whatever he's supposed to be called, 1:37.761. So a great qualifying effort by him to jump into second. He's only the second driver in the 1:37s. And we're still waiting for Luke Mathiasen to set a hot lap. He's the last of the heavy hitters to set a time. Robin Herderstegen is the only other driver that's yet to set a time. And it looks like Herderstegen is actually right in front of him on his out lap. Luke Mathiasen pretty close to him. Looks like Luke will probably, it looks like he's giving himself some space now. Going to get that ERS all the way charged up. He's here on and off the throttle as he heads through the castle section. Less than 6 minutes left to play in this session. And here he goes down through the last little section here, and you get these big S's that lead you out on this long front straightaway. And here we go, Luke Mathiasen, 5 minutes he comes across the line. Let's see what kind of time he can set. Hard on the brakes down on the left-hander, turn one, back on the power. Ooh, runs it a little wide, almost out to the wall on that one. Got the DRS slot open. Very, very good line into that corner there. Tries to keep it off that big sausage curb. Little wiggle from the back end as he tried to get the power back down. You can see that yellow bar on the steering wheel starting to drop. He's using that ERS. Get ready to head through the very tricky castle section. Oh, and the back end kicks out on him. Oh, and it was very tight coming through there. Woohoo! You couldn't fit a dollar bill through that wheel and that freaking wall. That was piping close. When he jumps that curb, that's got to be a warning if he does that too many times. He didn't invalidate his time, but then back onto the front stretch. Oh, almost out to the wall. Just rubbed them left side tires against the wall. DRS slot open. It's going to be a very fast lap from Luke Mathiasen. Not fast enough, 1:37.534. He's 0.2 of a second off of Tim Ventic, and Mathiasen blows the first corner. It looks like he might park it and call it a day for qualifying. That was a last-ditch effort for him to try and make that work. pick up SRL Sam, and Tim Bentic, well, he just went even quicker with a 1:37.216. So 0.3 of a second faster than Luke Mathiassen's time. We're going to pick up Alex Benrichetti, and it looks like he's running to some damage there. He's got the end plate knocked off of the front right of the wing there. He's trying to get out of the way, so it looks like Benrichetti's qualifying session is going to be done. Jensen Randall's currently on an out lap. He might be the only one that's got a shot at maybe taking that pole position. He's one of the 3 drivers that have cracked into the 137s. Sandro Dulius is going 4th quickest with a 1:38.7, so he's a second off of the pace from Jensen Randall, who's 3rd quickest, and Tim Bentic is just retired from the session. 1:37.216. He says, that's good enough. Try and beat me. Benrichetti retires from the session. And here he comes down towards the last portion of this track here. Sorry for the moments of silence. I'm trying to update my notes so I can give you correct information in regards to last week's race if you didn't happen to catch the race or the race recap on the YouTube channel, which you certainly can do if you like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications. We'll let you know every time that we put up a new video, new race. We also do race highlights now for SRL. And here comes Jensen Randall. 1:37.762, and he's not able to improve his time. We'll see if he gives it another go. Qualifying is almost done. We got a couple of guys on their out laps. Sandro Dulius on an out lap. Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder's very slow. He's going to let Sandro go by. Sam Brandt has just called it a day. Cameron Wilson Edwards is on an out lap. Reese March has just called it a day. Just to clarify, Cameron Wilson Edwards did race last week at Monza. He finished 9th. And he actually had a little bit of an altercation with Lewis Marshall, who was not participating in today's race, and possibly not for the rest of this year. Time is up, so times are going to be locked in for those who have called into DNFs and retired from the qualifying session. Jan Holm is locked in. He's the first one locked in at a 1:42.442. Robin Herterstagen did not set a time. He may have a qualifying ban. I can't remember. Things have been a little weird here at the household with everything going on in the world. Colin Higgins is locked in at a 1:39.922. Salah Haddad locked in at a 1:41.143. We're currently riding along with Salah Haddad's teammate, Cameron Wilson Edwards, in the McLaren. Jensen Randall's locked in at a 1:37.345, so he did give it another go. Tried to crack the top spot, but he couldn't do it. He's off by 1/10 of a second. Wilson Edwards going to make it a last-ditch effort. He might be able to get a little bit of slipstream off of Robin Herterstagen's racing point there. I don't think he's going to be close enough, though. Maybe. And Brian Powers retired from the session. And Cameron Wilson Edwards jumps to 5th quickest with a 1:38.737. And look at that midfield, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All 1:38.7s. Sam Brandt with a 1:38.9. And then the top 3 are all 1:37.534. Luke Mathiassen finally did set a time, 3rd quickest. Anybody left on track? I don't believe so. So Tim Bentic going to pick up pole position. And just to clarify from previous notes, that is going to be Tim Bentic's... That's Tim Bentic's 4th pole position of the year, but That's only his first one since round 6 back at Monaco. So it's been 9 rounds since Bentic has found himself on the top spot for starting positions. So here is your starting order. Tim Bentic, Jensen Randall, Luke Mathiasen, Sandro Doyas, Cameron Wesson-Edwards, Nick Van Gelder, Sam Brandt, Alex Benarichetti, Dion Stahl, Colin Higgins, Foons Van Houten, Reese March, Robin Herderstagen, Brian Power, Jurgen Marusic, Salam Haddad, Jan Holm, rounding out 17 drivers for today's round 16 race, Baku. And again, I apologize to everybody for the mix-up earlier on. To clarify, last week, Luke Mathiasen got his 5th pole position of the season. Tim Bentic won the race. Nick Van Gelder came home 2nd. Jensen Randall was 3rd. Luke Mathiasen finished 4th. Dion Stahl was 5th. Robin Herderstagen was 6th. Foons Van Houten 7th. Reese March 8th. Cameron Wesson-Edwards 9th. Sam Brandt 10th. And now I know Sandra said that rain was predicted towards the end of this race. I don't think it was supposed to be predicted for the beginning of this race, unless I misread his notes there in the live chat. We are waiting for the game to reset itself. Everybody get gridded up here. Here we go, start of the formation lap. And looks like this might be an interesting formation lap because everybody's on slick tires. This is going to make for a very interesting opening lap. So Tim Bentic, coming off of a win last week, starting on pole position for the 4th time this year. Going to be looking to try and keep it there, but the rain has showed its face early, and I think it's called out just about every driver. You see the tire details there. Everybody's on slick tires for the start of this race as the rain comes down. Jensen Randall coming off of his first podium position here in SRL, coming home. He was 3rd last week, so he's going to be starting in the 2nd spot. Luke Mathiasen is really the only feasible championship points contender right now. Tim Bentic has such a huge lead, and Lewis Marshall is not going to be racing for the rest of the year, I don't believe. So Luke Mathiasen's the only feasible driver right now in the grid. That's not to say that there aren't other drivers that aren't mathematically capable of getting it, but really when it comes to driver skill and luck, Luke Mathiasen is going to be the only one that could possibly maybe take a stab at this championship. Otherwise, this is Tim Bentic's to lose. Sandro Doyas is starting 4th. Unfortunately, he had so to recap last week just a little bit, Sandro Doyas had a massive DNF, a huge crash on the opening lap coming out of Lesbos too. And then he spent some time with me in the booth. So he did have a podium. He had his 3rd podium back at round 14, which was a few weeks ago, Belgium, and I gave that bad information earlier. Cameron Wesson-Edwards is starting in 5th. He'll be looking to try and work his way through the field, maybe get himself a podium position. Defending race winner and defending F1 champion Nick Van Gelder starting in 6th. Sam Brandt is going to be starting in 8th, and then Alex Benarichetti, the 7-time SRL race winner and Season 2 F1 champion, going to be starting in the 8th spot. Dion Stahl is 9th. Colin Higgins is going to be starting in the 10th position. He'll be looking to try and put some points on the board, maybe help his teammate Tim Bentic out a little bit. Foons Van Houten is going to be with us for the rest of the season. He was a reserve early on because he had to work on Saturdays, but with the way the world is right now, no work is being done on Saturdays, so he'll be with us for the rest of the season. Reese March going to be starting in 12th. Robin Herderstagen in 13th. Now, Robin's coming off of a couple of good runs. He was 5th at round 14, and then he came home 6th last time out at Monza. So he's been on a pretty good run here in mid-pack runs. He's on the only driver on the hard tires, but that's going to be all for naught because tire strategy is going to be out the window once these lights go out. Brian Power starting in 14th. Jurgen Marusic crashed out in qualifying, and Salam Haddad is going to be looking to try and put some points on the board. He's 2 for 2. He's had 2 race starts for SRL and 2 DNFs, and Jan Holm starting all the way in the back of the grid. So what a mess this is going to be. I can guarantee it. We'll wait for the grid to reset here just a little bit. And here we go, folks. The rain coming down. The cars are on slicks. We're waiting on 5 red lights. And I would say they're away in a puff of smoke, but it's just a massive amount of wheel spin. Time to run with you, Brun. A good start for Kevin Weston Everett. Sandro Dulius already having traction issues, and Jensen Randall runs wide. Edwards tries to get the power down. Looks like he's going to get a 2-for-1 deal coming out of the first corner. He moves himself up into second, and you can see them all just piling into the turn 2. And Tim Ventic is pulling away, and everybody's on. There, what looks like a racing point has gone around in the back. That was Robin Herderstagen, and it's a Williams. It's Luke Mathiasen. Oh, my goodness. And he had gone around, and he's all the way at the back of the field. And Mathiasen, oh, Luke, come on. It's so early in the race. Mathiasen with a very disappointing rage quit. Come on, man. Virtual safety car is out. That is extremely disappointing. 26 lap race, and you're going to boo-hoo because you got called out at the first corner. Come on, man. And we're back to green flag racing, and Tim Ventic able to pull away. Now, the castle section, I guarantee you, is going to be very sloppy for some. See these top 3 cars go through there. Oh, and there's one of theirs. That's Brian Power. Now he's going to be kind of in the racing line. Oh, that's very, very close there. I don't know how the stewards are going to want to look at that. Is that a dangerous re-entry or just trying to get going? You knew somebody was bound to do it. It looks like Sam Brandt just got around Foons Van Houten for the 10th spot, and Brian Powers retired from the session. And where is Brian's car? Oh, it looks like Brian's actually wrecked the car. Oh, yes, he smashed the, he's done pancaked the right side of the car into the wall. Oh, and Salomon Dadlolis loses the back end. So any takers on diving into the pits? Look at this. Tim Ventic is so far out in front. He's going to stay on his slick tires. And Brian Powers left the session. Too bad for Brian. Got called out on the slick tires. And we do got Alex Veneracetti diving into the pits now. Got a few drivers going into the pits. Reese March, Foons Van Houten. See if anybody is going to take a gamble and stay out on slick. Oh my goodness. Now Veneracetti is going to switch over to, it looked like it was mediums for a second. He's switching over to medium tires. I don't think that's what he wanted. And a lot of these guys, nobody switched over to intermediates. I think everybody's getting caught out of this a little bit. So this has been a little bit of a mess. So we had guys pit, obviously maybe for a little bit of wing damage. The rain's still coming down. The track's obviously wet. You saw the lap time from Tim Ventic. The first lap was in the 2:03s compared to the 1:37 lap time that he ran. 1:40, 1:41 is going to be about race pace. So he's essentially 20 seconds off of race pace on the soft tires. You see Veneracetti struggling with even the mediums on there. And we got another virtual safety car. Looks like Colin Higgins has gone around. And he's lost his front wing altogether. Now that has moved Jan Holm into the 10th spot. And Jan Holm is slow and steady, wins the race. This has been a very obscure start to the Baku Grand Prix. Now, Foons Van Houten just picked up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits under the virtual safety car of all things. And I've seen and Jan Holm slams the right rear into the frickin' wall coming out of that corner. And here comes Colin Higgins now. So now Jan Holm's got some wing damage on the right front. The end plate's missing. Obviously, Colin Higgins has no front wing. Jensen Randall dives into the pits. And he's going to switch out his front wing and switch over to medium tires as well. So still no takers on intermediate tires. I guess they feel like the track's not wet enough. Race control says they're back to green and DRS is enabled. And I'm going to hop on board here with your Marusic. And maybe it's just because I'm really bad at the game, but I would at least try some intermediates. I mean, the rain's coming down fairly steady pace. And you can see just how much steering input that Euro has to put into the car in order to get it to turn. Obviously, the front is washing out. So slow around here, so touch and go. And it looks like we just had Nick Van Gelder get around Sandro Dulius for the third spot. And Salim Haddad has stayed out on track. He's blown the first corner, manages to slow the car down and get it back on track before he goes nose first into the wall. So really, there's no actual battles on track. The battle right now is the track itself, running in the rain on slick tires. I'm surprised a lot of these guys have stayed out like this. Ventic kind of threw the car into the corner there and slid it out towards the wall in the wet conditions. And Tim Ventic is now going 158.683. New fastest lap, but that's still 21 seconds off of pole time and about 18 seconds off of race pace. And we do have a battle for the 9th spot. This is a couple of SRL OGs. This is Alex Benarichetti being pursued by Dion Stahl. And I guess if the DRS is enabled, I guess the rain is not bad enough really to justify intermediate tires. That's really the telltale sign. And we see DRS slot open on Dion Stahl's Ferraris. He's going to dive to the inside of Benarichetti to try and take this spot heading down into turn 1. And it looks like the rain has subsided just a little bit, so looks like if I was racing, I'd made nothing but bad pit calls. That's why I don't race. That's why I talk about it. You're not going to be good at one thing, be good at the other. Now the question is going to be because of the tire strategy that some of these guys ran. Guys like Robin Herdersteigen who pitted early because of wing damage and switched over to hard tires. They're going to be able to make up any time on track. Oh no, and Salim Haddad. Salim has switched over to intermediate tires after the rain has stopped. Oh, Salim. You're as good as I am, is what I can say. I would have done the same exact thing a couple of laps ago, and now it is too late. And he's into the wall. He's going to have to make another pit stop, so Tim Ventic just set the fastest lap again. As you see, he's coming up on turn 1 where Salim Haddad was. So Ventic putting on a masterclass. And we do have a battle materializing. Another couple of OGs here. Sam Brandt on Alex Benarichetti. And we've got Jensen Randall getting around Yerba Rusic. And Sandro's closing back in on Nick Van Gelder for the 3rd spot. DRS slot open. Sandro Dulius to the inside. And a nice clean pass, but Dulius runs a little wide, scuffs them tires up on the wall. Looks like he knocked off the right front end plate. He's going to probably be kicking himself for that one. He essentially had that pass made. Van Gelder is all over the gearbox of the Ferrari. And it looks like Jan Holm has had an issue. It looks like he missed his braking points. And now we've got ourselves a 3-car battle. Salim Haddad is retired from the session. And Jensen Randall with a good run coming out of that corner. He's going to get to the inside of Van Gelder. Great move going through there. That's a tough place to pass. Randall had the speed and the balls to make it work. Oh, no, and there is a car. That must be Salim Haddad's car. In the middle of the track, I'm surprised there's not at least a virtual safety car for that. Randall now going to be making the move on Sandro Dolius as they come down the front stretch. DRS slot's going to be open, going to be an easy pass. He's going to have a lot of room to make that work going down the front stretch. Sandro staying out of the way. And it looks like Van Gelder is going to be diving into the pits. Meanwhile, we'll go back to this battle here. Sam Brandt, Dion Stahl. Sam Brandt's got the DRS slot open. He's going to pull out, and he looks like he's going to make the pass on Dion. So Sam Brandt moving himself up into the 7th spot. And Ben Ricchetti is going to come out right in front of Nick Van Gelder. Oh, and Reese Marsh looks like he's had an incident here. He was right behind Jan Holm. And now he is well back of that. And looks like Jan Holm is now having an issue. So a lot of these guys are missing their braking points. Salim Haddad has officially left the session. Bit of a chaotic race, and we're only on lap 6 of 26. Ventic just ran the fast lap. Now we're starting to get down to race pace. 144.429 for Tim Ventic. So the track, the tires, everything's starting to come into its own. And Sam Brandt is closing in on Robin Herdersteigen for the 6th spot. And DRS slot's going to be a little bit of a lag there out of Herdersteigen's racing point. And yeah, I can definitely tell there's some... Oh yeah, look at that internet lag. Woo, doggy! Somehow he's in front of him, beside him. I'm not sure what's going on there, boys. Herdersteigen is all over the place. So that was fun. That was a fun moment. Looks like he was trying to use his PS4 and his phone at the same time. So, and Jensen Randall, by the way, has caught and passed Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards has just pitted for a new set of hard tires. So Edwards, he pits second, comes out third. So good effort by him today. Had a great start. So Edwards definitely going to be looking to try him. A podium would be great for him. He's been relatively quiet this year after the incident in China. He hasn't made a lot of races. He's dealing with schooling as well, so he hasn't made all the races, but he also races in IRL F2. He hasn't made a lot of those races either, so he's kind of been a little subdued here lately. A little quiet, a little bit more laid back. He made a... Oh, and Jan Holm is retired from the session, so that is going to be another DNF for him. See if we can find out. Oh, it looks like he's going off there at turn 2. And Bentic has pitted and come back out on a set of hards. He's got Foons Van Houten behind him in the Toro Rosso. And Edwards is going to pass Jensen Randall. So Edwards went for the undercut, and it worked for him. So a second place finish would be great for Cameron Weston Edwards, I'm sure. Oh, we've got ourselves a safety car because of the incident with the Toro Rosso of Jan Holm, and unfortunately that is going to be another DNF for Jan Holm, and I'll be able to actually update that record here in just a second. Again, I want to apologize to everybody at the beginning of this round that I gave some old information. I gave you round 14's information while doing a race recap, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to get the notes situated so I can actually give you guys proper information. If you guys didn't catch the race recap video that was posted by Sandra a couple days ago. So Tim Bentic under the safety car is going to be your leader. We'll let the grid get reset here. With Jan Holm, that is going to be Jan Holmes, unfortunately. That is his 10th DNF of the season. The elder statesman of SRL. He's been around for a long time. He's an older gentleman, very quiet. Nice guy. He's had some really bad luck the past couple seasons. I'm going to chalk that up to the handling characteristics of the game modeling, the way it's been. I've had a lot of drivers complain about the modeling between F1 2017 and then when it changed in 2018 and 2019. So saw a lot of good drivers, Luke Smith, Louis Quinlan, Jan Holm, that did relatively well on F1 2017, and then in 18 and 19 have not been able to get to grips with the car and the way the handling model has changed within the game. So I think a lot can be said there. But then there's other drivers that do seem to get a bit of a handle on it. Cameron Weston-Edwards made a huge step this year over last year in his race starts and actually being a little bit more competitive speed-wise. Dion Stahl, he's had a couple of really good runs here as of late. But I think the biggest factor, I think you need to watch somebody like Alex Benarichetti. Oh my goodness, and Tim Bentic under the safety car has just put his car into the wall at the castle section. He's got end plate damage, and that might be inconsequential because Cameron Weston-Edwards is so far behind. He's not that far behind. He's actually heading into the castle section now, so Bentic could pit and give up the lead because of a costly mistake under safety car conditions, which I've seen all too often this year. I commentate for 3 different leagues, and I want to tell you, when they did the recoding and the update to bring out the safety cars, I've seen more mistakes under safety car conditions than under race conditions. A lot of exceeding the track limits, a lot of collisions for no reason, a lot of speeding into the pit lane. We'll see if Tim's going to dive into the pit, maybe get that wing fixed, or if he's going to take his chances and stay out. Tim is going to dive into the pits to swap out that front wing. So Cameron Weston-Edwards is going to become your race leader, something I'm sure he didn't expect. I don't think he knew until just now that Robert was going to be heading to the pits for any reason. So unbelievable turn of events, and that's going to move Sandro Dulius up into third. So Tim Bentic has to pit for a new wing, and he is going to lose multiple spots. And Bentic now finds himself coming out of the pits in the 7th spot. So lap 10 of 26. So I'm going to try and update everything here real quick. While I've got the time under the safety car, I just want to try and update the actual information from the Monza race, which was round 15. I know the live stream says this is 15, but this is actually round 16 at Baku. All right, so real quick while we're at it. Last time out, Monza. Luke Mathiasen had the pole position. Safety car is going to be in this lap, and I'm not going to have enough time to get through it, but I'll try. Tim Ventic won the race. Nick Van Gelder came home second. Jensen Randall was third. Luke Mathiasen was fourth. Dion Stahl was fifth. Robin Herderstag in sixth. Foods Van Sheeten is seventh. Reese March was eighth. Ninth was Cameron Weston Edwards, and Sam Brent was 10th. That was round 15 in Monza. Trying to get it out as quickly as possible. Now remember, you cannot pass until you pass the start-finish line under the safety car conditions, so everybody needs to hold their spots. And I'm sure that's going to be very hard for some of these guys bunched up like this. And look, basically this looks like an IndyCar restart. Too wide. Cameron Weston Edwards goes. Now remember, don't pass until you pass the start-finish line. Everybody listen to me, please. And now you can make a pass. And it looks like we've got somebody all the way to the inside. Edwards throws the car into the corner. Looks like Sam Brandt made a move on Yerma Rusic for the fourth spot. Cameron Weston Edwards just lost the top spot to Jensen Randall. Edwards sweeps back to the inside. Oh, he's not going to be able to make it work. And here comes Tim Ventic to the inside of Yerma Rusic to pick up a spot. So he's moved into fifth. Edwards and Randall going back and forth, but it looks like Randall's now been able to separate himself just a little bit. And then you've got the classic Cameron Weston Edwards, Sandro Dulius duel. They've always described themselves as on-track rivals, but off-track friends. And Tim Ventic just got around Sam Brandt to pick up the fourth spot. So despite losing a number of spots under the safety car because of a costly mistake, Tim Ventic finds himself back into fourth, and he's all over the gearbox of Sandro Dulius. Very high-speed section here, and he's all over that gearbox, hard on the brakes. And Ventic is just a monster in this car. Ventic is easily going to be able to have the slipstream advantage. Now, he's not going to have DRS, I don't think. It hasn't been enabled just yet, but he's all over the gearbox of Sandro, and he's going to cut to the inside. And now it's a drag race down the front stretch. They're side by side, wheel to wheel. And he's going to get a little bit of a drag now from the slipstream from Cameron Weston Edwards. Sandro's got the more preferred line, and Sandro wisely cuts in line. I think he knows he's not the quicker car in this case. He's going to let Tim go. And now Tim all over Cameron Weston Edwards. And to the inside, and Edwards is not going to be able to do anything about that. Meanwhile, we've got Nick Van Gelder. I think he's going around the outside of Yerma Rusic. And Yer may have been being a good teammate there and let him go. Up through the castle session, looking through the halo. Not anyone's favorite sight. So now we're getting some separation. Jensen Randall is out in front to the tune of 3.5 seconds, but Tim Ventic is coming with a head of steam. Cameron Weston Edwards is a second off of that battle. A second behind him is going to be Sandro Dulius. And he's got his good buddy Sam Brandt closing in on him. And Sam Brandt should have the DRS advantage when that is enabled again. Robin Herderstegen quietly back into sixth. Another good solid mid-pack run for him. He's the only driver out on the soft tire, so he's going to have to make another pit stop for sure. See, the sun's coming out, so the track's going to be heating up. And Jensen Randall just ran the fastest lap, and it looks like Sam Brandt's looking to make a move on Sandro Dulius. To the inside, they're very close. They rub wheels a little bit, but Sam's going to take the spot. Meanwhile, we're going to dive to the back here. Alex Benarichetti is looking to make a move on Yerma Rusic in the Red Bull. And Sandro Dooley is trying to make a comeback to Sam Brandt to get that 4th position back. Meanwhile, that's allowed Cameron Weston Edwards to pull out a little bit from this battle. Oh no, it's Sam Brandt! Oh, and did he get help? Did he get help from Sandro? Did Sandro miss his mark? And here comes Herdestagen. And Sam Brandt, I'm surprised that the Haas held together as well as it did. I think he might have had a little bit of help from Sandro Dulius. Looks like Dulius has got some wing damage on that right front end plate. So I think Sandro might have missed his braking marker and punted Sam. I'm sure that was a complete accident. Luckily, Sam didn't really lose a spot. He's still running into 4th position. But Sandro's the one that's got the wing damage, and he's got his teammate Dion Stahl and Nick Van Gelder all over the back of him, and Sandro's probably going to have to pit to get that fixed. Dion trying to find a way around his teammate. And really, Sandro's got to tiptoe through here. Ooh, and Van Gelder's going to dive to the inside. And Van Gelder's going to try and get the 2-for-1 deal coming down the front stretch. And Dulius, he's going to stay out. He's going to stay out. He doesn't want to lose any more positions than he has to. And Van Gelder's to the outside. And Van Gelder's going to get around him. But what about his teammate, Dion Stahl, still trying to find a way around him? And Dion, I think Dion's a good teammate. Dion's always been Sandro's teammate. Looks like they both have end plate damage. Can't tell from that angle. Yeah, they both got right front end plate damage. So the two Ferraris are wounded and now limping around this track. What an unbelievable turn of events for Sandro Dulius, who punted his good friend Sam Brandt into the wall. Brandt manages to hang on to the 4th spot. Question is, does Brandt have any damage? It doesn't look like Sam Brandt has any front wing damage, so that's good news. He did kind of go in right rear suspension first and smack the wall and kind of pancake that right side of the car, but luckily it looks like the Haas is held together for him, and he's able to pull out. He's got a 2.3 second lead over Robin Herdestagen, and we just lost Foons Van Houten. Meanwhile, there's a battle going on for the lead. Tim Bentic has caught Jensen Randall, and Bentic is coming with a head of steam. Slingshot engaged. Here comes Ricky Bobby to the outside. And I don't think there's going to be anything Jensen Randall can do to hold off the hard-charging Tim Bentic. And Bentic just ran the fastest lap of this race, 1:41.631, takes the lead heading into turn 1. Jensen Randall's going to try and hang with him, but I don't think that's going to work. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder has gotten around Robin Herdestagen. What has happened to Herdestagen? Oh, Herdestagen's diving into the pits because he's on the soft tires. He's on an alternate tire strategy. So Van Gelder is going to move into 5th. Dion is going to get around his teammate as Sandra has decided to pit as well. So Herdestagen, Benarichetti, and Sandro Dulius all into pits to switch over their tires. So definitely some shuffling going on mid-pack. And it looks like we've got a car off. Looks like that might have been Foons Van Houten off. His car was off. Looks like he retired it. Reese March is picking up a spot over Luke Mathias, and that's inconsequential. Mathias and Rage quit early on. He's 12 laps down. I'm sorry, he's not 12 laps down. He's got 12 laps on those tires. But Luke Mathias is not in control of that car. I believe that car is AI at this point. So Benarichetti trying to get back into the points. He's all over the backside of Jovan Rusic. Working lap 15 of 26. And Benarichetti lost touch with him through that second sector there. So the last time Alex Benarichetti raced, Baku was not in the game. So of all the tracks to make your... That's not true, it might have been in the game. I don't think it was in the game last time I saw him on track, but either way, if you were going to come back after being out of racing for a couple of seasons, Baku would not be the track that you would want to do it at. Here he comes, so he's got the DRS slot open. He's got a long front straightaway to maybe make up some ground, so going to pull out, dive to the inside. Benarachetti trying to get around Marusic. Marusic trying to hang tough on the outside, and he's going to protect his position very well. Oh, and it looks like these two, oh, and there's contact, Benarachetti. Oh, he spun him around. And there was definitely some internet glitch there for a second. And it looks like Marusic came through that relatively unscathed. He lost a couple of spots, but doesn't look like there's any real damage done to the car, so good save by Marusic. It was definitely a little weird looking. They glitched for a second. Benarachetti was actually, his car was inside Marusic's car, so they were kind of, it's like they didn't recognize each other on track as far as the game was concerned. And Adra18 says that was a classic case of lag. I definitely agree with you on that. So that battle is now done. Marusic down into 12th. Tim Benton continues to lead this race to the 2 to 4.2 seconds over Jensen Randall in the Mercedes. Cameron Wilson-Edwards is in the 3rd spot. And Sam Brandt with a hard-fought, well-deserved 4th place run right now. However, he's got Nick Van Gelder behind him, the defending F1 Series champion, starting to close in on him 2 seconds back. Dion Stahl is running in the 6th spot, and 13, almost 14 seconds behind him is Colin Higgins. Robin Herdestagen ran that alternate tire strategy. We'll see how it pays out for him. He's only got 2 laps on those medium tires. He's currently running in 8th, but he is closing the gap to Colin Higgins. And Sandra Dolius, who had that incident with his good friend and co-owner, Sam Brandt, he's now been in and out. So he's running in 9th, and Alex Benarachetti currently running in 10th spot. Fortunately, no close battles. Reese March is running in 11th, and then the last classified car would be Marusic, who's running in 12th. Luke Mathiassen's car will not be credited. He left the session early on, and the car is essentially AI at this point. But here in SRL, we do not run Ghost AI cars, so it still looks like it's legit. 14th through 17th, all DNFs. That's Foons Van Houten, Jan Holm, Selim Haddad, and Brian Power. And unfortunately, Jan Holm, Selim Haddad, and Brian Power are becoming the usual suspects when it comes to DNFs. Let's take a ride around Baku with Tim Ventic, fastest driver on track. Just see how smooth of an operator he is. That is basically a lap around Baku with Tim Ventic. Unbelievable run by him today. Well out in front of Jensen Randall. Unfortunately, no close battles on track right now. Nick Van Gelder, though, he does have that gap down. It was 2+ seconds, about 2.5 seconds is now down to under a second. So Van Gelder closing in on Sam Brandt. And he's just outside of DRS range. You hear the tires squeaking just a little bit of a lockup. Only lost a little bit of time, about 3/10 through that sector. Dangerously close to Sam Brandt. That was the battle for fourth. Lap 19 of 26. Now Van Gelder, if he can get close enough, he'll have the DRS advantage coming down the backstretch and onto the front straightaway here. He's still just outside of that 1 second gap. And he's trying, it looks like he might get it. And a 3-second time penalty for Reese March for exceeding the track limits, and the DRS slot is going to be open for Nick Van Gelder. All right, that's good. And apparently I hit my mute button and was talking the whole time with nothing going on. So my apologies. Rough day here at the broadcasting booth. Van Gelder trying to close that gap. He's within 9/10 of a second. I'll try to recap everything that I just said. But Van Gelder trying to make a move on Sam Brandt for the fourth spot, and he lost a little bit of time there. Sam Brandt gets a good run out of that turn two, able to separate the gap a little bit. Van Gelder's not able to close it in. And I was saying that there was a battle for 10th. So the battle for 10th is between Reese March and Colin Higgins. We continue to watch this battle here. So Reese March has a 3-second time penalty, so it doesn't matter if Colin Higgins even gets past him or not. If they finish the way they finish right now, Higgins would still get the spot. Reese March would drop from 10th down to almost certainly 12th. Yerma Rustic is closing in on that battle as well. Nick Van Gelder still trying to see if he can close this gap to Sam Brandt for fourth. Really, these are the only two battles on track right now as things wind down. Lap 22 of 26. Van Gelder coming off of his 4th podium finish of the year last time out at Monza. And again, has the DRS slot open, but he's so far back by the time he gets there, he can close up just a little bit. But everything that he gains through here, Sam Brandt is about to pull on him coming through turn 2 if Brandt keeps hitting his marks right. Looks like Van Gelder finally got himself a good exit out of that corner. But again, look at that. The gap, tenths of seconds, count. He's not able to make anything happen heading into turn 3. And it looks like Colin Higgins has finally gotten around Reese March for that 10th spot. Colin Higgins on the soft tires and made a pit stop, switch over to softs. He's going to run them all the way to the end. Remember, Reese March has that 3-second time penalty, so that battle is all for naught right now. Here we go, Nick Van Gelder. This is the closest Van Gelder has been at this portion of the track the last couple of laps. Trying to find a way around Sam Brandt. Oh, and it looks like Jensen has piped into the pits. Jensen Randall has just pitted. That's an interesting strategy. So all of a sudden, Cameron Weston Edwards finds himself in 2nd spot. Sam Brandt, this is now a battle for a podium position. Jensen Randall, I don't know if he had wing damage and it was an unscheduled pit stop, or if he wants to switch over to softs and try and maybe get the fastest lap of this race. Whatever the case may be, he comes out in the 5th spot. So now this battle for what we've been watching for 4th is now a battle for 3rd. And Cameron Weston Edwards finds himself in an unexpected podium position in 2nd spot. Still 25 seconds behind the race leader, Tim Ventic, but an unexpected 2nd position. So now, really, this is a battle for podium. This is kind of interesting because Van Gelder's coming off of a podium finish. It was his 4th podium of the year last time out at Monza. Sam Brandt, last time we saw him on the podium, it was his first podium in a long time. It's his only one of the year. He had a podium back in Abu Dhabi, round 11. And that was actually his first and only podium of the season so far. But now Van Gelder is now within striking distance, finally, of Sam Brandt's Haas. And he's been working that lap after lap after lap. And this is the absolute closest he's been. There's not going to be much Sam can do about this. He's all over the slipstream. He doesn't even have the DRS slot open yet. Brandt's going to run down the wall. It's very close. They're side by side. It's a drag race down the front stretch. DRS slot open for Van Gelder. Oh, and Sam Brandt is trying to side draft off of him to slow him down. Oh, and he stays to the inside. And Sam Brandt's going to defend the position. Van Gelder couldn't make it work. Great driving, great defensive driving by Sam Brandt. And here comes Jensen Randall. He's got those soft tires. He's coming. Jensen Randall could be a spoiler in this podium battle. And again, Van Gelder, these two were so concentrated on racing with each other. Here comes Jensen Randall. He's going to be the party pooper in this podium battle. He's a very fast driver, as we know. He's only been in the league for a few races now. He's already got a podium to his credit. He's displayed some speed today in qualifying. He's obviously showing his prowess right now with the soft tires. This is going to be fresh softs versus old hards. A faster driver versus a couple of guys that have been scrapping it the last few laps. And Jensen Randall is all over this. It's now a 3-car train for the podium spot, the last step on the podium. And Randall, you see he gets off the throttle a little bit. Very smart driving there by Jensen Randall. He knows he's the faster driver. He knows he's got the fresher tires. He knows he's got the DRS. Sam Brandt trying to gap Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder's going to have Jensen Randall all over the back of him. DRS slots open for the Red Bull and the Mercedes. Van Gelder to the inside. They're going to make Randall go around the outside. Oh, but there's not going to be anything Van Gelder can do. Randall runs it a little wide. Van Gelder's still there. He's got a nose in there. Nope, he's not going to be able to make it work. And now next on the hit list is going to be Sam Brandt. Can Sam Brandt hold off the hard-charging Jensen Randall for the third spot? And look at this. Tim Ventic is pitted for a fresh set of softs. So now we've got the battle for the fastest lap going on. Tim Ventic's probably going to have clear track ahead of him while Jensen Randall's caught up in this three-car battle for the third spot. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time. So I'm willing to bet that Tim Ventic's able to get the fastest lap. You see Sam Brandt still trying to hold on. Oh, and look at this. Randall's going to make the move early. He's not even going to wait to get to the backside of the course. Oh, and Sam Brandt slams the door on him, holds him off. Swept right across his nose. That was some good defensive driving, and it looked like Randall was really willing to make that move. I saw Ventic make that move earlier. And Tim Ventic has just ran the fastest lap at a 1:39.884. Jensen Randall is not going to have a chance to do that if he can't get around these two cars. And there he goes. He's side by side with Sam Brandt. And Brandt's going to lose out on the position. It was a hard-fought drive to try and defend that spot, but unfortunately he's going to lose out the third spot to the hard-charging Jensen Randall. So now it's a battle for fourth, continues to rage on as it was before Jensen Randall made his pit stop. And we are on the final lap of this race. Tim Ventic well out in front to the tune of 16 seconds over Cameron Weston Edwards. Jensen Randall is going to be trying to set the fastest lap of this race. Meanwhile, Nick Van Gelder and Sam Brandt still trying to settle out who's going to finish where between these two drivers. And Van Gelder looks like he's getting a little impatient. He wants to try to make a last-ditch effort. Sandro Dulius, meanwhile, is making a pass on Dion Stahl. Looks like Dion's had out made a mistake. And through the castle section. Meanwhile, Tim Ventic is coming down to the front stretch now. Ventic is going to be the winner of this race. Tim Ventic's 5th win of the year. And he runs the fastest lap at a 1:39.808. Cameron Weston Edwards will pick up a well-deserved podium finish. And Jensen Randall, he's going to try and run the fastest lap as well. But things are not settled here. This is Sam Brandt with Nick Van Gelder behind him. Drag race down the front stretch. Shades of Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll. But Sam Brandt's going to be able to hold him off. Meanwhile, Sandro Dulli is coming down the line. Not the race that he was hoping for, but he manages to finish it out in 6th spot, put some points on the board for Ferrari. Dion Stahl making a mistake on that last lap there. He'll come across the line in 7th. And Alex Benerichetti on his SRL return comes across the line in 8th for the Alfa Romeo. Robin Herderstagen's tire strategy did not work out for him. He'll come across 9th, and Colin Higgins will come across 10th. That is your top 10 points paying positions. Reese March will be coming across the line. Unfortunately, a 3-second time penalty will be added to his time. He'll be coming across on 11th. Jurma Rusic looks like he switched over to soft tires as well towards the end of this race. Not how he wanted it to turn out, I'm sure. He'll come across in the 12th spot. Luke Mathiasen, his car is classified 13th, but he did rage quit early on after a lap 1 incident. What a crazy race, and a good battle between Sam Brand and Nick Van Gelder all the way down to the wire. So there you see Tim Ventic with his 5th win of the season. He's going to extend his championship points lead. It's really all but his. I mean, there's a couple of drivers that are mathematically still capable of winning it, but Tim would have to have some serious bad luck and miss a few races in order for it, I think, to anything materialize as far as any type of championship battle goes. So, but congratulations to Tim Ventic. Congratulations to Cameron Weston Edwards, back on the podium for the first time in a long time. In fact, I think the last time Cameron was back on the podium was back towards the beginning of the season. Tim Ventic, Cameron Weston Edwards, Jensen Randall, Sam Brand, Nick Van Gelder, Sandro Dulius, Dion Stahl, Alex Benerichetti, Robin Herderstagen, and Colin Higgins rounding out your top 10 points peg positions. Reese March, Yuma Rusic, Luke Mathiasen, 11th, 12th, and 13th, and then 14th through 17th, all DNFs. That's Foons Van Hoot, Jan Holm, Salam Haddad, and Brian Power. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And Cameron Weston Edwards' last podium was back at round 4 at Bahrain. So Edwards back on the podium, his 2nd place finish. That's his 4th podium finish of the year, so good to see him there. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today for what is round 16 at Azerbaijan, Baku. And again, I want to apologize for the mixed information at the beginning of this race. So this was round 16. Round 15 was Monza, and just to recap that real quick, Tim Ventic won at Monza. That was his 4th win. Nick Van Gelder, Jensen Randall, Luke Mathiasen, Dion Stahl, Robin Herderstagen, Foons Van Houten, Reese March, Cameron Weston Edwards finishes 9th. Sam Brandt was 10th. This was last week, not this week. Gift Picatero finished 11th last week and was subsequently banned from the league because of internet issues. This league takes the internet priorities very seriously, and because he had such poor internet quality, it seemed to affect the whole lobby. Gift was unfortunately let go from the league. He's more than welcome to come back if he can get better internet, or if he can get whatever internet issues he's having situated. But for the time being, Gift Picatero is no longer part of the league. Brian Power was 12th. Sam Lissenberg was 13th. Again, this is round 15 in Monza last week. I just want to recap because I gave bad information at the beginning of this. And then 14th through 19th were all DNFs. It was Yuma Rusic, Jan Holm, Salam Haddad, Lewis Marshall, Colin Higgins, and Sandro Dulius. Again, that was last week. We just talked about today's race. So just wanted to get all the right information out there. Guys, like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. If you're a little confused about everything that I said today because I had things backwards at the beginning, check out the videos on the YouTube channel. You can check out last week's Monza video, the race recap. You can check out the crazy wild ride Sandro Dulius had on the opening lap. He went up over and did a nice little barrel roll. It was very Dukes of Hazzard style. He'd make the Duke boys proud for sure. But be sure to check that out. I apologize again for my notes being off. I hope I wasn't too confusing and got everything recapped correctly. But again, congratulations to Tim Ventic, Cameron Weston Edwards, and Jensen Randall on to podium finishes today. Be sure to check us out in 2 weeks' time. We'll do the Mexican Grand Prix as this season winds down. And don't forget, next week, Intercontinental GT3 Championship on Project Cars 2. It's going to kick off. It's a 5-race series to emulate the actual Intercontinental GT3 Endurance Championship Series. It's 5 races. We're going to kick it off at Bathurst. It's going to be the 1.2 hours of Bathurst, GT3 cars on Mount Panorama, so be sure to check that out next week as well. I'll be racing in it. Sandro Dulius will be in the booth for that, as he's had enough of Project Car 2 racing after the LMP2 IMSA Series. So be sure to check us out. Like, subscribe, and comment. You can check us out on Instagram as well, at SRL F1, something of that nature. I think the description's in the is below. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. See you next week if you're interested in the GT3 series. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the Mexican Grand Prix. See you guys at the next round.